Have you ever tried to get an individual or a group of people to do something different than they're already doing it? To try to get somebody to change their behavior? Well, today we're going to talk about the most effective way to get somebody to change their behavior. So principle-based living is all about teaching principles or laws that govern this world in which we live. And if we want to accomplish or achieve certain outcomes, it's important that we understand the principles that govern this world. Because if we don't, then oftentimes we may be doing things that go contrary to those principles and actually end up getting more of what we don't want than what we do want. So today we're going to talk about how do you get someone to change their behavior. This is something that we struggle with in our society a lot. We struggle with it as parents, trying to get our children to change their behavior. We struggle with trying to get our spouses to change their behavior, or our neighbors to change their behavior, or people in other countries to change their behavior. And the way in which we typically try to get them to change is through force. And so we live in a society where if there are people that are doing things that we don't want them to do, or we want a certain behavior to stop, then oftentimes what we will do is we will create a law to try to tell people that they can no longer do that, because if they do that, if they break that law or don't follow it, then there will be a consequence or a punishment. So think about that though. How effective are we at getting people to change their behavior by trying to control them, by trying to make them change, and by creating laws that says, well, you must do this or you can't do this? The truth is, every one of us do exactly what we want to do. And if there's a law, that isn't necessarily going to change our behavior unless it's a law that we agree with. If it's a law that we disagree with, then we may look for ways to get away with not following the law, to do it when nobody's looking, or just to disregard the law because maybe we're okay with the consequence and we don't really care, or maybe we think that the consequence won't happen. But the truth is we do exactly what we want to do anyway. So how could we be more effective in creating change, whether that's with our children, our spouses, our neighbors, or our community as a whole? Remember, everything we do for a reason, or we wouldn't do it. And so it's our thoughts and our beliefs that drive our behavior. So the reason that we're doing the things that we're doing is because of our thoughts and beliefs. The best way to get somebody to change their behavior then is to change their thoughts and beliefs. So how do we do that? Usually if you go up to a person and you try to tell them that what they think or what they believe is wrong and that they should change their behavior, again, now we're using force, you're going to most likely meet up with resistance. So you tell somebody that they're wrong, well, they're going to try and prove to you that they're right. So the best way to get to a place where you can share your knowledge or information is first to get to know that person. And so maybe the best approach would be to start out and talk to them about the behavior or about that situation, but seek to understand where they're coming from. So ask them why they do what they do and find out what are their beliefs behind their behavior. And as you seek to understand where they're coming from, they're going to be more likely to listen to and seek to understand where you're coming from. The other thing that we can do if we're trying to help somebody see something differently, because again, the best way to get somebody to change their behavior is to get them to change their beliefs and to change their thinking. Well, we're more likely to listen to somebody that we respect, that we look up to, that we see as a friend, than somebody that we don't even know or that possibly we even see as our adversary or our enemy. And so we want to build a relationship with the person. We want to seek to understand why they are doing what they're doing and what are their beliefs. It may be that in doing that, we learn some things about them or about why they're doing that, that maybe we come up with a different solution that is one that nobody has even thought of up to this point. But the other thing that for sure will happen is as we begin to develop a relationship with that person, they are more likely to be willing to listen to what we have to say. And if we can focus on teaching principles, so if we're creating laws that are in violation of principle, then we want to be able to educate people what the principles are and to help them see that these laws are laws that are not useful or beneficial. They may be accomplishing some things in the short term, but long term it's actually creating more problems for us as a community or a society. So we want to be able to understand what principles are. We want to make sure that our thoughts and beliefs are in alignment with principle. And if somebody is living their life or behaving in a way that violates principle, then the best way that we can help them change their behavior is by teaching them about the principles. And again, we're going to have more influence over them if we have a relationship with that person. So instead of seeing the people that are doing things that you don't like as an enemy and as a problem, get to know that person, get to understand better why they think the way that they think and why they believe what they believe. And as you begin to build a relationship with them, they'll be more likely to listen to you, and watch and see what happens then. Because if their thoughts and beliefs will change, then their behavior will change without anybody telling them that they need to change their behavior or trying to convince them to change their behavior. And in accomplishing change in this way, it's more likely that the change will be sustained over time and not just a temporary change. Thanks for watching today. If you want to know more about principle-based living and what we teach and what we do, visit our website at principlebasedliving.com. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you're watching this on LinkedIn, be sure and follow me here.